What do you notice about the last couple of videos from these grifters? Gaudy, ugly thumbnails? Check. At least two of them talking about a movie starring a black woman that you probably never heard of? Check. But do you notice something missing? Like one of the biggest movies of the year, the only one out in true IMAX that is receiving rave reviews from the critics? Yeah, I noticed that too. At nearly a week old, none of these people seem to have a review out for Sinners, and while I'm sure they will eventually get around to it, it's kind of telling that these are the only media reviewers who haven't seen and reviewed the best reviewed film of the year. I wonder why you think that is. While you're thinking about that, let me tell you a story. Grifting is as old as storytelling. The classic grifter, the snake oil salesman, the fake medium, the fraudulent investor, thrived on proximity. They needed to be in the room to read the mark, to lie with charisma and just enough plausibility. Traditional grifting was intimate, it was risky, and it didn't scale. Today, the grift has gone digital. It streams in 4K, it sells merchandise, hosts live streams, and cultivates parasocial loyalty. It doesn't just trick individuals, it mobilizes audiences. What was once a solitary con is now a business model, and at the center of this evolution lies a new beast, the Media Grifter. Traditional grifters operate in small networks. The goal is to exploit a loophole in trust, extract money or power, and then vanish before the mark realizes what's happened. Ponzi schemes, fake investment opportunities, and miracle cures are all classic grifts, each centered on deception for personal gain. What distinguishes them is the one-to-one nature of the con. The grifter and the mark exist in close proximity with limited exposure. Media grifting, by contrast, flips the ratio. It is one to many, a broadcast con. Instead of targeting a single person with a carefully curated deception, media grifters create generalized narratives, calibrated not for accuracy, but for virality. They operate within a competitive attention economy where outrage, fear, and tribal validation are currency. Importantly, media grifters don't need to convince their audiences that what they are saying is true, only that it feels true, or that it flatters what the audience already wants to believe. The grift is no longer about lying to extract, it's about performing certainty to harvest engagement. This shift changes the incentives. Traditional grifters run the risk of exposure and arrest. Media grifters run the risk of deplatforming. But even that can be leveraged into more clout as proof of persecution. Their survival doesn't depend on staying hidden. It depends on staying loud.
I'm gonna stand by the guys that stand by me, because you pieces of shit aren't there when I'm going through it. You pieces of shit aren't there when I'm figuring out what the I'm gonna do because we got demonetized. And then you dumbasses, 3 years later, believe some bitch that makes the same allegations again. You idiots. I'm not going anywhere. I'm standing right here.
Media grifting flourishes because the ecosystem rewards spectacle over substance. In a saturated landscape, the most profitable voice isn't the most informed, it's the most inflammatory. This system is powered by a few key mechanics. Platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter reward engagement, not truth. A misleading but emotionally charged take will outperform a nuanced explanation nearly every single time. Media grifters reverse engineer content for maximum outrage or tribal loyalty, knowing the system will boost them for it. What I'm saying is, there's a reason their thumbnails look like this. Many media grifters play the just asking questions game, positioning themselves as independent thinkers, truth tellers, or outsiders fighting establishment narratives. In reality, they're often crafting content specifically to flatter their base and funnel dissent into revenue streams.
So with that in mind, we're launching a second Kickstarter campaign to fund not just one, but several short films. For fans of Rogue Elements, we already have a couple of scripts ready to go that'll expand on the characters from the Ryan Drake universe. So if you're tired of watching big studios with more money than sense squander billions of dollars on things that nobody wants to watch, this is your chance to start pushing back. Let's see if we can make something special happen together.
Media grifters often rely on a rotating cast of scapegoats, whether it's wokeness, immigrants, the elites, or vague conspiracies about globalism. The target changes just enough to stay fresh, but the structure of the content remains constant. Them versus you. It's a perpetual engine of identity warfare.
But a lot of the discussion around this is female Silver Surfer and how bad she looks. Now, we already knew female Silver Surfer was going to be in this movie, but wow, does she look terrible.
Doctor Who is back for a new season. Yes, I didn't know either, actually, not until the day that it was airing, because I don't think many people care nowadays. And that's certainly going to be reflective, as you can see from the title of this video. Russell T. Davis's absolutely horrendous return to the franchise has tanked it beyond all compare.
Well, when Trump took office, DEI became a big focus, not just in the federal government, but also in the private sector of these DEI programs that might truly be illegal, because guess what? You shouldn't really be allowed to not hire or hire someone based on the color of their skin or who they want to fuck. Yet Disney admitted and bragged about doing just that over and over again.
Unlike traditional grifters, media grifters don't need to vanish after a scam. Their income is diversified. Ad revenue, sponsorships, donations, exclusive memberships, merch, hell, even lawsuits or bans can become monetizable martyrdoms. The grift isn't a heist, it's a recurring subscription. The critical drinker masquerades as a film critic but filters every analysis through a lens of anti-woke culture war posturing. His critiques are often unburdened by factual accuracy, leaning instead on buzzwords and exaggerated outrage. His success isn't about cinematic insight, it's about telling a segment of the audience that their nostalgia is under attack and that he is defending it. That is, until we saw him do exactly everything he pretends to argue against in his own movie, like writing a girl boss character that is at least strong enough to prevent this giant man from stabbing her in the neck, something you and I both know he would criticize if this movie were made by Disney. You know, they. Ignoring the fact that this movie was made with your money that he sourced based on the apparent goodwill from his media critiques, he is again asking for more of your money to make more slop. But this time will be different. Right, guys? Eric July, ostensibly a comic book entrepreneur, frames his media presence around combating the left and rejecting mainstream culture. His audience isn't paying for storytelling, they're paying to feel superior to a cultural establishment they believe has rejected them. His business model is less about art and more about cultural insurgency as product. This is the guy that blatantly lied about not liking Miles Morales because he was a token black ripoff of Peter Parker, when we have footage of him saying Miles is a good example of a non-token character taking up a mantle.
Do you like Miles Morales then?
No. Yeah, some characters have been written decently that are of different races and have suited up in the suit of a hero or a version of that hero. One of the more obvious is Miles Morales as Spider-Man. Morales has his own background. This is far better than just simply making Peter Parker a black guy. But Miles is an exception, make no mistake.
Integrity. How much do you think this blatant contradiction helped the sales of his comic book ISOM? Each of these figures profit not by enlightening, but by reinforcing. Their goal is to tell you what you want to hear so that you continue clicking. Their content is not exploratory, it's declarative. Their grift isn't that they are wrong, it's that they've made being wrong profitable. The Media Grift machine has replaced precision with scale, depth with drama, and sincerity with strategy. It doesn't need to fool everyone, it only needs to maintain the illusion long enough for clicks to convert to cash. Traditional grifting might con you once. Media grifting builds a community around the con. And in that community, the narrative is all there is. This is why they'll break their necks to tell you how bad something is and why you should be mad. But they'll drag their feet when something breaks that narrative and instead elect to tell you about something that came out 2 weeks ago.